What are the best add-ons? Which ones do I need? Do I even need add-ons? How do I install them? These are questions I get asked all the time, and in this video, I'm going to answer all of them. Do you need add-ons? Technically, no. You can play WoW without them. I even cleared a raid in Dragonflight without using any add-ons just to prove this point, but if you want to maximize your character's performance, add-ons are essential. There's just too much to keep track of, and the default WoW UI doesn't cut it. So let's dive into how to get these add-ons. First, download the CurseForge app. I've included the link in the description and the pinned comment down below. CurseForge has been around since the Burning Crusade, and I've used it ever since. It's completely safe and makes finding, installing, updating, and managing add-ons a complete breeze. Just navigate to the website, hit the download button, and follow the installation steps. Once it's installed, launch CurseForge, select World of Warcraft, and you'll have access to every add-on available. Now let's answer the big question. What add-ons do you need? I'll walk you through 5 must-have add-ons and explain how they can improve your gameplay. Let's start with the first one, Details. Details is often referred to as a damage meter, but it's so much more than that. It's one of the best tools to help you improve your gameplay. Let's break down what it tracks, how to navigate its stats, and how to use it effectively. On the Details window, the gear icon is your settings. This allows you to change text size, fonts, bar designs, etc. The page icon shows all logged encounters. Bosses will have their own segments. Trash and Mythic Plus pulls will also have their own segments depending on how long between each pull is. Use this to recap previous fights and then click back on current segment for live data. The bell icon opens a list of all stats that are being tracked. You can scroll through and select the one that you want to view. To make this process easier, you can bookmark frequently used stats for quick access. Here's how. Right-click on the main window to open the bookmark menu. Click on Add a Bookmark and choose the stat that you want to track. To close the bookmark menu, simply right-click it again and you return to the previous screen. Some of the most commonly used stats and some that I would suggest you tracking would include the DPS, which is damage per second. This tracks how much damage a player deals per second. Just note that DPS will decrease if a player dies during the fight. It's not locked at their peak. Damage done will show the total damage dealt by each player. While rare, the highest DPS does not always mean the highest damage done. HPS stands for healing per second. This tracks healing done per second, but does not include overhealing. Healing done displays the total healing performed by each player throughout the fight. Overhealing, this represents wasted healing when players are at full health. This is shown separately to highlight inefficiencies. Enemy damage, this tracks the damage dealt to each enemy, making it especially useful during boss fights to ensure that adds are being handled properly. Deaths shows when a player dies during the fight and provides a damage to healing ratio when you hover over their entry. Damage taken will display which players are taking the most damage and what abilities are hitting them. Interrupts counts how many interrupts each player performs. This is particularly helpful in Mythic Plus content. Cooldowns, this tracks the number of defensive cooldowns used, which is useful in all game modes to identify who is mitigating damage effectively. This add-on is an invaluable tool for improving your gameplay by helping you analyze mistakes and identify areas for improvement. Each player or enemy in these windows can be clicked on to open a detailed breakdown of abilities and performance stats. For example, as a DPS, navigate to the damage done or DPS pane and click on your name to view a comprehensive analysis of your abilities, which includes damage dealt, critical hits, misses, and more. For healers, the same functionality applies on the healing per second or healing done pane. It shows a detailed breakdown of your casted spells to help determine which are most effective in various situations. As a final note, not only can you review your own stats, but you can also click on other players or enemies to see their performance. This offers valuable insights into team dynamics and enemy mechanics. DBM or BigWigs. Yes, this is 2 different add-ons, however they do the exact same thing. They are ability timers. Every boss follows a certain cadence on attacks. Let's use the first raid boss, Ogrex, as an example here. Once he's pulled, he uses Brutal Crush, then he uses Venom Lash, and then he uses Stalker's Webbing, and finally Digestive Acid. These attacks are then going to repeat. DBM or BigWigs will visually show you the bars with each of these attacks and how long you have until the next one. This add-on also announces when you are targeted with a certain ability, so even if you're tunnel visioning, it can help wake you up. There are 2 main differences between DBM and BigWigs, so it comes down to personal preference. First is sound. BigWigs is going to make small sound effects depending on what's happening. Are you standing in something that you shouldn't? If your co-tank is getting hit with a debuff? While on the other hand, DBM is going to yell at you. Standing in something you shouldn't?
Run.
Your co-tank hit with the debuff?
Taunt boss.
The second difference is the information it gives you. BigWigs will tell you what's going on. It will tell you what you're standing in. It will tell you how many debuff stacks you or your co-tank has. Whereas DBM is more of just a soundboard to make you react. I like to compare them by saying DBM yells at you to do something. BigWigs will tell you what is happening and lets you make the decision on how to react. DBM and BigWigs both have very similar settings. I'm using BigWigs, so that's what you're going to see here. When you open the settings, this option here will allow you to see the bar anchors and will allow you to move them. Clicking on test bars will let you see these in action. One final note if you go with BigWigs, you want to also install LittleWigs. It's the same, it just includes timers for dungeons and other in-game scenarios, not just raids. Plater nameplates. Plater makes it easier to see the enemy's health bars and what's happening with them. It clearly shows their debuffs, it makes it easier to see what the enemy is casting, it highlights interruptible spells so that you aren't wasting your global cooldown on an uninterruptible spell. There are a lot of different options in the settings here, so I'll just cover a few important ones. The Colors and Threats tab will allow you to change the color of the nameplates depending on the mob's hostility or their target. Cast bar allows you to change the enemy cast bar visually. Buff settings allow you to change which buffs are showing up on the nameplate. Cast colors and names allows you to specifically change the look of one spell. This is great for extremely important interrupts or abilities that you want to bring extra attention to. Just a note on this tab, if you've never used Plater before, then this list will be completely empty. Once you've seen a spell casting game, it will then populate in this list, allowing you to change it. A great feature of Plater is the ability to import someone else's profile. I highly recommend doing this. It saves you the hassle of tweaking settings and lets you jump straight into the action. If you're interested in using my Plater profile, you'll find it linked in the pinned comment. I also recommend checking out Quasi's profiles. He regularly updates and uploads them. I'll include a link to his below as well. To import a profile, under the options, go to Profiles and then select Import Profile. Paste the long text in there, click OK, and you're good to go. WeakAuras. This is by far one of the most useful and multi-function add-ons that you can download. I could probably do an entire video on just WeakAuras, but I'm going to keep this as compact as possible with an emphasis on what I use it for. I primarily use this to track certain buffs that are crucial for my class. For instance, I play a DK, both blood and unholy specs. As a tank, one of the main buffs I need to keep active the entire time is my bone shield. I have a custom weak aura that I created to show my bone shield buff. It shows me if it's active by glowing or not glowing. It shows the number of stacks, and it also shows how many seconds are left before the buff falls off. On my unholy DK, I have to keep track of 3 different things. I have to track my festering wounds, my diseases, and my trinket. I have a weak aura that shows how many festering wound stacks are on my current target. I have a weak aura that shows my active diseases on my current target and when they fall off. And I also have a weak aura that shows my trinket status, as my trinket changes depending on if I am moving or standing still. Some people make their entire heads-up display only using weak auras. There are a bunch of pre-made ones over at wago.io, and I'll link that down in the description as well. The options menu is super in-depth, and I'm not going to go through all these options. The best way to learn this is to import a weak aura and then to tinker with it. Grab the import string from the website, open your weak auras options and click import. Paste the code and you're good to go. One option I will mention here is the load option. This is what activates the weak aura. If you're using class or character specific weak auras, there are options here that you can toggle so that the weak aura only shows during that spec or character. For instance, back to my DK, I don't need my bone shield charges showing when I'm playing Unholy, so I toggled the class and specialization option for blood. Once I swap my talents over, the bone shield weak aura will become inactive. If you want my DK weak auras, I will upload that string as well for you to download. To import a weak aura, click on import at the top and then paste in the string. It will bring it up and you can move it around and edit it. Unit frames. Unit frames are the character bars that displays health, resources, buffs, debuffs, and etc. Not just for your character, but also for your party and raid members. Whether or not you use a unit frame add-on often depends on personal preference and your role. For tanks and DPS players, the default setup works just fine and doesn't significantly impact your gameplay. However, if you're a healer or plan on doing PvP, a unit frame add-on is basically mandatory for better visibility and control. There are several options to choose from, with one of the most popular being ElvUI. While I haven't personally used it since it's a complete UI overhaul, it's a great option if that's what you're looking for. I'll link their website below where you can find detailed guides. Just a note, they do not use CurseForge. Other popular add-ons include Healbot, Voodoo, and my personal favorite, Cell. These add-ons function similarly, allowing you to customize what you see for each player. Not only do they allow you to change the bar layouts and design, but they make it easy to track important dispellable debuffs, incoming heals from other players, shields, and defense abilities that are currently in use. It truly allows you to see what you want to see and ignore what doesn't really matter. So there you have it. The 5 essential add-ons that not only improve your World of Warcraft experience, but also improve your gaming performance. Feel free to explore the CurseForge program as there are literally thousands of different add-ons that you can install. Keep in mind that every add-on does utilize additional memory, so if you start experiencing instability in-game, check to see if an add-on is hogging up some resources. Hover over the question mark on your action bar and you can see the top few most resource-heavy add-ons. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button. For more WoW content, check out my channel. I've got plenty of guides, tips and tricks, podcasts, and more. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member. It's just 99 cents a month and gives you early, ad-free access to all my videos. Check out the merch store for exclusive Prefessional gear. I'll see you in the next one.